Why is communication taken for granted?
Yes.
Sometimes we get too familiar with the people we think we should be communicating with. There is healthy communication. Healthy communication, in my own view, has to do with you communicating, expecting the other person to give you feedback, understanding the information you've just given, and then there should be action. I love our culture, a culture of respect, a culture of family-oriented system.
Yeah.
But in terms of making somebody have absolute power or authority, that is where I draw the line a bit.
Hello, welcome to super amazing edition of the LEC Pod. You know how we're doing it here. A podcast that inspires elevated living. We educate, we entertain, sometimes we have fun, but the primary purpose is that each episode does not leave you the same way. My name is Emmanuel, and of course I'm not in the studio alone. But before I introduce my guest, what do we have in stock for you? Right? What do we have in stock for you? Today, we are going to be discussing feminism, marriage, and how communications plays a role in all of this. My guest, guess who my guest is. She's no other person than Oludolakpo Adewale, who is a media and communications professional with top-notch experience in training, diction coaching, public speaking, organizing culture, workplace productivity, presentation, production, event host, voiceover, content creation, and script and speech writing. Did you hear that? One person. You know, sometimes when we bring people here, we don't just bring anyhow person, but we bring people with depth. That is what this podcast is all about, right? And not just that, she's also a media trainer for the girl child. Please join me as I welcome on board Madam Oludolakpo Adewale. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for reading my profile.
Thank you. How's it been?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been great. It's been a fantastic week so far. Hectic, though, but we're here.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
And it's nice to have you on board because not every time we have a gem like you,
Thank you.
On our space. As a communications professional, take us in. What is communication? I know we talk, we communicate, we say these, we have our language, we learn language, and then we talk. Is talking communications?
Thank you very much for that beautiful question.
Yeah.
That question resonates anytime I get to teach in public speaking, in diction classes. Communication, it's a big word.
Okay.
And it really starts from your preparation stage. When I say preparation, what do you want to say? How do you want to say it? Who are the recipients of that information? Talking is quite different from speaking. I tell people this. When you talk, you can talk with your family, you can gist, you can have fun, informal talking engagement.
Yeah.
But when we talk about speaking, the stage is different. You are careful of what you say, how you will say things. For instance, I'm on this program.
Yeah.
That's public speaking.
Okay.
It's different from some of the things I would say within the comfort of my home and say I get away with that. It has to be deliberate. Everything I utter, I might be assessed by what I say.
Sure.
So communication is, who do I want to speak to? How do I want to say the words I say? And preparation goes into that. That is communication. And then the last part of communication is how the recipient will take that information, and there should be feedback. If there's no feedback for your information, for your communication, it's not effective. So that's how I look at the process of communication from start to finish, and then the feedback.
Wow. Something to take home today. Right. So yes, communication is important, very important as human. It's basically like our day-to-day activities. When we move around, we talk, work, we interact with people as social animals. We interact, and as important as communication is, it seems like it is taken for granted. Right? So why is it so?
Well, that's a deep question. Why is communication taken for granted?
Yes.
I think familiarity, there's a phrase that says familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes we get too familiar with the people we think we should be communicating with, and then things are lost in the process.
Okay.
We assume a lot. We think, oh, he should know, she should know that that's how I am, but we are not verbally communicating it, or we are not expressing it through non-verbal communication. So it's important that we don't take communication for granted, especially in marriage that we're going to talk about today. So I think we shouldn't make the fact that we are familiar with the other party, we shouldn't take it for granted.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly from your statement, communication is not just the use of word language, right?
Yes.
It could also be non-verbal, which is that you're taking cues. For instance, I can take a snap at you. I'm communicating something. And you know, Africans are basically used to using body gestures to communicate.
We're very good at that.
You can use
I've
your
heard
eye.
you.
Yeah, and then I've heard you.
I look at you like this.
Yeah, we already get the message. It's not just hearing, it's that maybe you're not doing something right, or it could be a reprimand just by the gesture that you've just shown. And something as key as that should not be taken for granted. But because we're used to it, we basically just talk and feel like, okay, we can always do whatever we like and then get away with it. That brings a whole lot that we're going to be talking about: verbal, non-verbal. Is there anything as known as healthy communication?
Oh, fantastic. Yes, there is.
Okay, so let us hear.
There is healthy communication. Healthy communication, in my own view, has to do with you communicating, expecting the other person to give you feedback, understanding the information you've just given, and then there should be action on that communication. There's a story that always comes to mind in healthy communication where a father told two of his children to do something. The first person said, I will do it. And he ended up not doing it. The second person says, I won't do it, but later had a rethink and went ahead to do it. In that situation, the first person, you would think the person understood the communication and would do it, but eventually didn't. While the second person took a long time to process that information and still got the job done. In that situation, I would describe the second person as healthy communication because the person just took time to process that information. But the problem happens where maybe you're having a conversation with two people and then one person cannot act in the same manner as the first person, and then the communication gap is open. That is what causes unhealthy communication between parties, spouses, boss to employee, and all that. So there is something as healthy communication where you talk to your partner or you talk to somebody and you expect feedback and action on the information you just gave.
Do you think that communication causes a major challenge, or could be the reason why most marriages are broken today?
Absolutely. We know we have money issues in marriages, but when we look at financial issues, maybe sexual issues, communication also leads to different things.
Okay.
There are situations that I've heard that because there was communication breakdown in terms of what the partner earns. For instance, if a man earns a certain amount and the woman doesn't know about it, the woman can be placing unnecessary demands on the man that the man cannot keep up with.
Yeah.
And that causes communication breakdown. The lady is looking at the counterpart to say, oh, I can afford this kind of bag, I can afford vacation somewhere, and thinking the man works in a certain kind of office. But the man's paycheck cannot afford that. There is communication breakdown somewhere. And if the man is not as clear or open to the woman, there will be unnecessary demands. And that part is the gap will be increasing.
Yeah.
And in situations where, or let's talk about the sexual aspect in marriage now, where a man or a woman is tired and cannot comfortably communicate that to the man.
Yeah.
And the man believes, oh, you're my wife. You have to fulfill your demands, your marriage demands. But there is no effective communication.
Sure.
They can't sit down to have a conversation about it. That can lead to a gap. But once both of them sit down to say, oh, let's have a discussion about this, our sexual life is having issues. They can have a conversation, and that will not degenerate to issues where they will be calling a third party to help them. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. So do you think, because again, I do have my own assumptions, because again, culture plays a role in most of our decisions in life, basically. And as Africans, we know how we're brought up.
We are Africans.
We are Africans, right? So you know how we're brought up, where day in, day out, you're made to understand that one is a weaker vessel. You are the man, you must be the man in the home. Growing up, you would hear things like, why are you consulting your wife in things that should be men matters? Take the decision and get on with your life. You shouldn't, I see no reason why you should have that conversation with your wife. Do you think that culture, in a way, distorted, or it's the reason why as Africans we tend to take communication, open communication, with levity in our marriage?
Okay. Let me start by saying a caveat. I love Africa. Even my earrings speak African.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love our culture, a culture of respect, a culture of family-oriented system.
Yeah.
But in terms of making somebody have absolute power or authority, that is where I draw the line a bit. I understand the place of the man as the head of the home, both culturally and spiritually. But where I want us to change is communication.
Yeah.
The fact that you're carrying your wife along doesn't demean your authority. It doesn't make you lose your place as the head. You are the head for a reason. It means you should be able to communicate effectively to those you lead. Even when you have the, in quote, veto power on some things. We know even in democracy, people still use veto power in some situations. So I believe even as the authority in that home, find a way to communicate. And it's both parties. It's not only about the man. The woman should also communicate. Let there be, don't leave room for assumptions. In my family, there are times that I didn't communicate clearly. And it was just about, for instance, I was driving one day from work and I didn't tell my husband that I would have quick stops at home on the road. And guess what I was doing? I was buying stuff for the house, genuine reason. But because I didn't clearly communicate, he was expecting me at a particular time. And when I got home, he said, I've been expecting you to get home at this particular time. I said, I bought this, I bought that, I bought this. Instead of me to say I would branch it somewhere. So that, as little as it sounds, it made us to realize that anytime we want to have a detour, just communicate. If you can't, it will be understandable. But it's very important not to take things for granted. Even though we are Africans, we are culturally inclined. Let us still know that when you communicate, even as a man to the wife, you're not demeaning your authority by doing that. It's very, very good. It makes life easy.
But sometimes Do you think that this should only be when you sense genuine love, or there should not be any form of restriction? So I'm saying this because you could have a spouse, right? Legally married, or you are in a relationship dating, and certain things that you see may make you question certain decisions. At that point, would you consider holding back on certain information from either your partner, your spouse, or basically? So maybe we'll deal with that, and then the second aspect of the question would be that is there something called over communication?
Oh wow. Okay, the first part of your question talks about like withholding information.
Certain information. For instance, I'll give you an example. You have a spouse. The spouse is you don't have the same spending habits. As a guy or as a man, you're frugal, meaning that you have your balance sheet and you have your spreadsheet, and you are looking at your expenditures and then your income. You're looking at your savings, investments, and all of that, and the lady in question has that urge to always buy. I wouldn't say squander, because impulsive spending. And you look at it and say, okay, if we continue this way, if I allow my spouse to know that I have these resources, chances are that she could bully me to getting the resources and spending. And at the end of the day, I would not be able to invest. Maybe you have securities, money markets, and all of that you're investing in. If you have a project to work on, you might likely not be able to do that. But how should you still be open? How do you manage that? Would that be withholding too much? Because again, it can basically trigger, or maybe she later finds out that you have these resources somewhere and like, oh, he's keeping things from me, or going forward, I'm also going to be keeping things from him.
I've heard too many stories like this where the man is building a house, the wife doesn't know, the wife is doing, I hear it a lot from the women's side, where they're trying to just build something to have as a safety net.
Yes.
Okay. I think one of the things that happens that I see going on nowadays, I am all for making money, working hard and making money. But one of the things that I'm saying is we're allowing money to dictate a lot of things. We're not using it as a tool. We're allowing it to control us. I like money. I don't love money. That's why I'm working. I want to make more money. But once money becomes an impediment to effective marriage, effective communication in marriage, I check myself.
Okay.
Because it can mar a marriage. No matter your pursuit of life, you need to look at it. Now, let's go back to the beginning. You talked about a man who is like frugal and has a wife who likes to just spend on impulse. This is one of the things I tell younger people. What do you guys discuss during your courtship? Okay, during your relationship.
Yes.
In church, sometimes we say courtship.
Sure.
So during your relationship, what do you discuss? Is it just about what's your best color? All of those things I can find out in one day.
Take me to a cafe.
Exactly.
Take coffee. Take this.
You can find out all those kind of things in one day. But the real conversations are, you understand what this person likes to spend money on. You understand what this person likes to do for fun. Or you understand some basic things. So if you didn't know that this person likes to spend money in a certain way all through your relationship, then that's a big gap. Now, how do you close that gap? In marriage, I've heard of a situation where a man registered his wife in financial literacy classes.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that made the wife to now on her own learned that, oh, I've got to save, there is federal government bond, there is investment I have to put there. And the wife was now the one chasing the man. We need to save money. We can't spend all our income, because the man was deliberate about saying that this wife, I think she's doing this because it's coming from a place of ignorance.
Yeah.
How about I help her? And that was how that situation was solved. So sometimes when you see that your wife or your spouse has that weak point, what are the things you can? It's not complaining doesn't solve any problem. Like I tell my children when they are hurting anyway and they cry, I say crying doesn't solve the problem. Talk to me so that we can find a solution. So complaining about issues, about how your wife is, about how your husband is, doesn't solve the problem. What can you do to help? After all, my Bible tells me that two are better than one. The two people are coming to form a formidable team. So what can you do to help the person? But when you now see that this person has shown little improvement and the person keeps demanding, now I am not for keeping secrets in marriage. Maybe this is the time you need to involve a counselor and get external help. I'm not really a person that says, oh, show everything that's happening in your marriage to somebody. But maybe you need to get an accountability partner that will bring both of you on your toes and say, oh, this is the issue. You need to be better in spending. You need to not keep secrets from your spouse. But when you see that this person is on this slippery slope and wants to wreck the family, then you need to take some decisive step. But I think there's no particular solution to say, oh, this is what you should do. But I would advise at that point that the person should seek help with a counselor.
A counselor. By counselor, do you mean, could it be family members? Family members from both sides.
I would say no.
Okay.
Because there will be a bias at that moment. We're not talking about the typical Nollywood film of the old. It's only when there's adultery that you involve family members as counselors. But when it comes to other issues like this, I would prefer an external help who would not be biased and who will give like an unbiased assessment of things. But family members, except the external family member is a trusted one, the person that you have also looked up to in terms of his or her marriage and can help you proffer right solutions. And it could just be your spiritual authority if you really, really submit to that authority at church. But I always say there should be somebody that you are accountable to, that when your spouse says, this person, I would talk to another person about you, there should be that sense of respect and caution to say, yes, that's my opinion.
Wow. Okay. So we've been talking about poor communications, or communication in marriage, and how do we manage communication in such a way that when we have differences, it doesn't escalate or degenerate into something that is no longer controllable. I'll give an instance. There's been so many divorces in the Nigerian entertainment scene these days. And oftentimes I hear somebody say, yes, I started having issues in my marriage because my husband is not comfortable with my success story. Right? That's alluded to. A typical example would be Wumi Toriola, because the conversation is out there. Secondly, we've had them, celebrities come up and then say, irreparable differences, hence their parting ways and all of that. My question is, could these have been better managed through communication? If yes, share with our audience.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I'm always very emotional when it comes to the issue of divorce because growing up, we heard less of the stories. We just saw people living happily. At least that was what we saw.
Yes.
We don't know what went behind the scenes. But as I grew older and I started seeing people from broken homes, I started to question that was not what I read in my Bible. I always saw like man, woman, and everybody living, especially the stories we used to watch on TV, and they lived happily ever after. So we always fantasize about a good marriage, a good relationship, you have kids, everything going well. But when I started to see things going awry in people's relationships, it makes me wonder where the things start to go wrong. I would say communication plays a part, a major part. There are things that you believe the other party should know about you, but you're not communicating it. I've heard situations where people got angry just by presentation of food. Yes, how the person served the food.
I don't understand. The
food presentation in terms of, I don't like to make my swallow, as we call it in this part of the world. I don't like to take it with the stew in the same plate. And the lady served it in the same plate. It was supposed to be on different plates because that's how the man grew up. The swallow would be on a different plate. The stew would be on a different plate.
But it's just food.
It's just food. So the lady adjusted a bit, but it got to a point where the lady will keep forgetting, and it will come to the point where I say, I have told you 1,000,000 times that this is not how I do my things. And, that issue will escalate into another issue, and it will be unresolved. There are many things in marriages that if we can learn to have compromise.
But it's just food.
That's what people will say.
Like you can just go to the kitchen and dish your food and eat and then just
what
move
about
on.
People who believe that if I eat, someone else must clean up after me?
I don't understand.
If you, as the head of the home, you're eating.
We're not kings anyway.
In my house, I'm a king. You know that line. So if you are eating as the head of the home, and your wife doesn't pack up after you, sometimes some people could see it as a disrespect. Meanwhile, if you, as the husband and the wife, you've talked about it that anyone can pack up, you wouldn't see it as a disrespect, and that little act would not degenerate into something else. But imagine if you, in your house, you're having that normal thing, and you have a guest, and your husband finishes the food, and he packs up, and then someone comes to say, so this is how you do in your house. Your wife doesn't respect you. Your wife is just sitting. Maybe your wife is even pressing the phone, and that is happening. That alone makes some people to have this ego and say, no, I must feel like a king. I must feel respected in my home over little matters, forgetting that those people have settled it in their communication. When you know that your wife respects you, you wouldn't take issues over little things like that. You will have made sure the communication is well sorted before now. So there are different issues that cause, I would say, wahala in marriages. But when you talk it out, when you say, if I do like this, does it mean that I'm disrespecting you? Do you feel like disrespecting you when I act in this way? You will have painted the scenarios even before it happened. And then both of you can say, yes. Let me give an example.
Okay.
I remember when I got married, and I have always heard of the situation where, when you want to have a good home or you want to enjoy bonding with your husband, sit down together and eat together. So I thought in my church mind that I was going to sit down with my husband every dinner, especially, and have a good meal. Yeah. Lo and behold, when I started,
to do. You're not even returning back from work the same time.
At that time, I was not even actively working when I just got married, because I changed my location.
Yeah.
And then I sat down to have that meal. Most of the time, it could be maybe I'm taking okra soup. Let me give okra soup for instance. And okra soup is very, draws. And I'll be sitting down with him. Everything, the plate will just be too far away. It was just like I was punishing myself in my home. Then I had to open up and say, bros, that's my husband. I don't think this can work. We can sit down together. I'll be taking it in my plate and you'll be taking it in your plate. But if I did not open up, I will just be going with a cultural thing or with what I heard to make a home work. But I had to tell my husband that this doesn't work. And the second thing, and he was like, oh, no problem. And the second thing I also heard before marriage was, eat with your husband. Even you can wait. I heard a story of a woman who said, even if she's hungry, she waits for her husband to come. I said, I like food.
Is strong.
So it was until I formed mine that I told myself the fact that I'm not waiting until it comes before I have my food doesn't make me less of a woman or a wife. And we had to talk about it. I can't wait until my husband comes from the long trip before I have my dinner.
And what if the days he's not even around, he's traveled?
Exactly.
You wait?
I wonder. So I think some things are just too, people make it too rigid.
Yeah. I think for me, it's basically to say there is the, this should be the standard. And this is the context. Context, yes, this is all flowery. It is good to have this kind of scenario, maybe from the movies that we've watched and everything. But not just that, even in our culture, growing up, you see grandparents seated, the wives will bring food, they'll be seated, and they wait until the husband eats, and then they will come clear the table.
It's actually a lovely scene. I like it, but it's just that it's not factual in every situation.
Yes, which is the point that I'm trying to make, that this is not the reality anymore. Because the reason why they could do that sometimes is because the means of livelihood was farming. So everybody goes to farm, everybody returns back from farm. And then the next moment will be that the wife wants to cook, and then they have time, and then they could take care of, they could eat together, clean the plates, everything. Not in today's Lagos, for instance, where the husband is working in mainland, the wife is working on the island, and you have to battle with 2 to 3 hours traffic before getting home. You're closing as late as 8 p.m. In the office. When is that actually going to happen, right? Yes, that is the standard, but that should not define everybody's relationship, as you have rightly mentioned. But looking at the analogies and the scenarios you've painted, people say, I wasn't brought up this way, hence things should remain the way I've always known it, without wanting to create room for adjustments necessarily. My point is, does ego play a better role when we have scenarios like this? Is it ego, or it's just poor communication?
I don't think there's a one particular answer to this. We were all raised differently, and ego can happen to anyone, any gender, whether male or female. I've seen females who believe that they're the firstborn. They've been used to giving orders to people around them. So they have this air around them, not as if they want to be too proud, but it's just part of their growing up.
But should that be?
When it comes to relationships, to marriages, one should not be a lord over another. Ego should not take center stage. You claim you love this person. What you should do is to continue to look out for that person. That's one of the things my husband looks out for me more than I think I look out for myself. Yeah. So I think that's in his way of showing love to me. So I think no matter, and my husband is my head. He has the authority,
Okay.
but he looks out for me. He doesn't allow ego to take center stage, even though it's the authority. So when you love somebody, even if you are in the position of authority, your love should speak, and you're not coercing the person to follow your orders 24/7. You are guiding the person. So that's how I believe it should be. Communication should be better than just saying, oh, ego for everything. No, that should not be.
You don't believe in equality in marriage?
Okay, let's talk about equality. Bring it on. Let me get your question very well.
Okay, so equality basically means that, if I'm doing dishes, you must do dishes. Because again, something as simple as that could lead to crisis in communication.
We'll do timetable. Daddy, do dishes on Monday. Mommy, do dishes on Wednesday.
Wednesday. or other than, clear your plates. Like, don't mess my living room up, man. Just clear your plates. I don't care. I have a right to. I'm not going to do this. I'm not cooking. This is 21st century. We're not in a stone age. If you can't cook, then we should be eating outside the house. Things like these are happening every day, and they will continue to happen. Why? Because what we preach out there today is equality, and feminism topic is taking center stage, and people are riding on that wave without looking at it critically. Right? So what would be your disposition on these, and how would you advise that people manage this? Because at the end of the day, even if situation like this arises, as you have said, the better way to handle it is via communication. So how do you see it? How would you advise, or how would you tackle it?
Many things roll into one in your question.
Yeah, sure.
Let me start from the area of feminism. You know, the dictionary tells us feminism means equal rights of girls or women to giving them equal rights, equal access to opportunities.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Making sure that women have equal rights to jobs, to opportunities, to education, which is very important. We shouldn't deny the girl child of education, and that's why my NGO, like you said in the profile, talks about media girls having equal rights or access to opportunities. That is fantastic. Where I draw the line in feminism is when we start talking about treated the same way.
Okay.
I believe in gender roles. I believe that the male is different from the female. I believe that I cannot be 100% treated the same way a man will be treated in different things. We don't have the same makeup. We don't have
biceps.
Exactly. I in my university, I studied a male-dominated course. I studied engineering. So I'm used to being in the same space with men.
Carrying drawing boards.
Exactly. That gives me PTSD, drawing boards.
That was all the engineering professionals that I've seen, they don't like it.
Oh my goodness, don't let us go there. So I'm used to being in male-dominated circles. I'm not saying a woman cannot do those things. I did it, and I'm a living proof. But I would say that God made us different for a reason. We are different to complement ourselves. There was a reason God saw Adam and said, Adam, you're a good guy, but it's not good for you to be alone. And that was why the woman came. So I believe that we were created to fulfill different roles. A woman has that nurture, that emotion, that caring spirit. And that's why a woman naturally will pander to cooking, to making sure that the children and the husband and she are okay in terms of development, in terms of eating. So, but now saying only the woman should cook 100% in the house might be a fallacy, because if the woman is going to work and the children are home earlier than the wife, someone has to help. Even if you tend to, for instance, for me, I'm a media and communication professional, so I'm going to speak from my own point of view. I've had to do different jobs in my lifetime that had to do with shifts. I worked in radio and TV. So imagine when I'm on night duty producing news, making sure that the world hears the news. Who is going to take care of my kids? Or our kids, as we call them, not because they are not just my children. So even what we did in my family was to ensure that I batch cook. I would put some things in place to say, oh, sweetheart, I've done the jollof rice here. All you have to do is to warm it for the children. A understanding husband, an understanding husband would do that, would say, oh, these are my children. I have to do the same thing for them. So you as the wife, you would not say, oh, because I've got a husband, and by the way, my husband can cook fire, I can cook very well. So cooking, maybe this is the time I should say this, cooking is a life skill. Everyone should know how to cook. Everyone, it's a basic life skill. So it's not supposed to be only for the woman and say, only for the woman.
Please tell them.
I've got 2 boys and I'm telling them, know how to cook more than noodles.
I tell you.
Every holiday now, we're just going to be cooking one thing. I've just told myself, I don't want to raise boys who can cook because their father can cook. But that doesn't mean that I will now put all the responsibility of cooking on my husband. I have to do it because it's a gender role I believe in. I believe someone has to take the activity of nurturing the family, and that's where I come in. And I wear my crown with pride, while he does the role of leading and guiding our family. That's it.
I think that respect to your husband.
Thank you.
Respect to him, because again, I believe I share in that too. I remember myself and my wife returned back from work yesterday, and I basically just went into the kitchen and they cooked jollof rice.
Wow.
Dished my food, ate, and I told them, if you're not eating, you are missing a lot.
Chef Emmanuel.
Yeah, and I have my younger brother around, and he went to dish, and I was like, guys, have you cooked? Right? Yeah. And my wife also had a meal. Why am I saying this? It's because there is a distortion in our raising the boy child, and which is that the people they are raised to believe that they have no role in the kitchen. My mom gave birth to just 2 boys.
Wow.
And 2 boys, she would just basically tell you, we are cooking. And that means that you'll be in the kitchen, you would cut the vegetables, she's going to supervise you. Granny will come pick us, and she will tell Granny, go back to your house. These guys are going to be here. And we grew up knowing how to cook almost every soup. All right. And the reason why we're bringing this forward is that we need to understand that the role of the guy or the boy child is not basically playing video games and watching soccer, but that you can contribute even to discussions in kitchen. Because sometimes your presence is needed there. You might not even know or have a full grasp of what your spouse is saying, but just nod. Oh, okay, yes, that one, yes, and everything. And it resolves issues, and everybody is comfortable. At least she believes that somebody is there with her, and she's not in the kitchen alone whistling or just singing praises to God while she's doing it, or making her feel as if she's slaving for the entire family. That brings us to the next phase, which is there is power play these days in marriages. Why do arguments get messy instead of getting solved?
Wow, you're asking me deep questions today. But
Thank
I'll
you.
answer with my knowledge. Why do arguments get messed up, messy, instead of being solved? I think I'll trace it back to everyone wants to have his or our way. We believe that we are right.
Yeah.
And God gave us the knowledge for a purpose. I believe so. But where we should draw the line is, imagine you are on a plane going to anywhere in Nigeria, and you decide that because you want the pilot to land you safely, you decide to go to the cockpit and say, Mr. Pilot, I don't think you can drive this, you can pilot this plane safely. I kind of know some things in engineering. Let me handle.
Yeah.
And both of you are struggling. There can't be two captains in a ship or on the plane. There can't be. One person has to lead while others follow. A good example I always give is the story of Barak in the Bible and Deborah. Deborah was the judge in Israel at that time, and Deborah had the strategy, but she wasn't the one that led the war. It was a certain man called Barak. So there could be the leader at that time. He might not have the best strategies to deploy something, but he was the one that went to face the battle. And Deborah told Barak that it was a woman that was going to win the war for them, but Barak still had to fight that battle. So if we look at that area, I believe that in marriages, power play, power tussle wouldn't be a thing if we understand our positions, if we understand how powerful we are in that marriage. Marriage should be two people coming together with a common goal to make sure that we have a family that is very successful. We are successful. Our children that God will give us will be successful. There should be no power tussle in marriage. Let people understand the gender roles. Let people understand that the man in the marriage setting is the head of the home. It doesn't make you less of a leader. You are a leader. I am a leader in my house. My husband asks me for opinions about things. So what do you think we should do? But primarily, he should take center stage in terms of leading and guiding us. And when I say this thing, I don't think it will work in this area, I am so free to say that as well. And then it will be able to sieve all information and make sure that it goes with the right one. And then one of the things that we should do in marriage is, even if that, this what I'm about to say might not go well with some people, but I would say it. Even when that position doesn't favor the family at the end of the day, because the leader might make bad decisions. And that's one thing I have learned in my 13 years, going to 13 years of marriage now. That's one of the things I've learned. The decision may not work. At that time, you as the spouse shouldn't say,
I said
so. That's not what I want now. You have taken ownership of
making
that.
Jest
Exactly.
sometimes and saying toy.
And that can cause problems in marriage. That thing. Because a man might start feeling less of himself and say, and all that. So
but he took the decision in the best interest.
And you agreed to that. You said, okay, I've gone with that decision. So at that time, when the plan goes awry, you shouldn't say, I told you so. We should own the decision together and say, this is not what we planned for. For instance, if couples are planning on an investment and the man says, this is the investment I think will work. And you know that this man doesn't have the knack to continue to do bad investments over and over again. But something happened and the investment went south. You shouldn't say, I told you so. I told you if we had gone like this. And what you should do is, we've lost this money. How do we make the money back? And we'll move on.
Yes, thank you. There's another thing I'm going to ask. Sometimes people use going quiet as a coping mechanism in marriages. And it could be that sometimes their opinion, they've seen that their opinion doesn't count in most cases. Right? So silent marriages should going quiet. Can going quiet be worse than fighting? Between going quiet in marriage and say, okay, I said my own, he doesn't listen, doesn't care, so I go quiet. Would you rather advise that a spouse goes quiet when his or her own opinion is often not considered as against fighting it out and getting a proper resolution and making sure that he or she is heard in the family? I'm saying he or she because the default mode would be that her opinion is heard, but sometimes we see that even in a home, the women are actually the leaders. It's just that the men don't understand. You think it's by flexing, I'm the man of the house, because the decision makers are truly the women.
Thank you for saying that. She stoops to conquer.
Yeah.
In marriage, I don't subscribe to fighting issues or fighting it out. I subscribe to knowing the temperament of your husband or your wife, knowing how he or she responds to issues. Is this person a person that wants to, usually people would say a woman wants to talk all the issues in one day and get the resolution. They say that's how we are wired. But I've seen women who don't even care. They can talk about an issue for days. They don't care if it's resolved at that moment. For some people, keeping quiet when the other party is really agitated might be the best solution. Because two wrongs don't make a right. If both of you are on the edge at the same time, no one will listen. So if for any reason you are in a relationship and you find out that your husband is always this person that wants to get to the solution, to get the matter to an end, logical end at the same time, and you believe that you should think through the process, by all means keep quiet at that time. Revisit that issue again. What I wouldn't subscribe to is now doing silent treatment all the time. Silent treatment, it means you're avoiding the main issue all the time. You're making it look, I leave you to your fate. I can keep quiet for some reasons, but I would ensure that day doesn't pass. That's a rule in my house. That day doesn't pass until we resolve that issue. If we don't resolve it 100%, at least we've done 70% before, because we have to pray. And if we are praying at night, I'm saying, oh Lord, this person I'm praying with, we can't be angry. So we have made it a rule in my family. We got to talk about it, at least to an extent, to say, okay, tomorrow we're going, and it will bring the tension down. So please talk about it. Silent treatment just for a brief moment, but don't.
And if you can, don't even have silent treatment at all.
You can only go silent when you feel that the person is on the edge and you don't want to pay the person back in their own coin.
Let's talk about the online shame and culture pressure that we currently have in our society. How do they kill honest conversation? Because sometimes there are so many postulations out there. People say, oh, as a guy, if you're not making 1 billion naira, you shouldn't be dating or we shouldn't be married. You must have $1 billion. We must be holidaying in XYZ destination on a yearly basis. My monthly allowance could be $40,000 to $50,000. Are these realistic? And how are these shaping the kind of relationship and family orientation that we are having at this period? Are they helping or hampering true relationship?
In one statement, they are hampering because social media is not, I'm on social media a lot, but social media is not the real deal. in the sense that it makes people have unnecessary expectations of what their ideal family should be, their ideal relationship should be, where they want to go for vacation, even their ideal proposal. I talk with young girls a lot, and some of them will tell me, if my husband to be doesn't propose in a certain way, kneels on one leg and does it in the open and says, "Would you marry me?" with roses, with everything, they don't feel
say yes.
If I'm there, let me say this to the camera. If I'm there and in a public proposal, I love marriages. I host MCs. I do MCs for weddings. But if I'm in that environment and someone is saying, say yes, I'll say, if you like, say yes. It's up to you. You don't need to be saying, say yes. The person was in the relationship with this person. So it's not our own say yes that will make the person say yes. So back to what I was saying, people have unnecessary expectations of proposals, how they want their proposals to be, how they want their weddings to be, because of what is being fed on social media, what is being fed. Before, we used to say what is being fed on television. Now on social media. But that is not the reality. A person that wants to get married, these are the things I always advise people to look out for. Where is the person saying he or she wants to get to? Which means the life aspirations. What is this person talking about constantly? There are people who don't look like $1 million right now, but everything around them looks like $1 billion because they are focused. They don't come from the most expensive homes or rich homes, but you know that they have the plan. But right now, people will say, don't marry. There's something they say that don't marry idea, marry reality. There's a difference between knowing someone that is not just wasting his or her life away and someone that is making every effort to get a job. Is this person in school? Is this person a graduate? Is this person working actively to get a job, a decent job? Yes, and does this person talk about his or her plans daily? That will tell you that this person's got a future, it's got a focus. For me, I would say marry that kind of person. Then when it comes to now preparing for the marriage is costly in this part of the world. At the same time, it might not be costly if you go through the easy route, in the sense that you don't need to call 100 people or 1 million people to your wedding. You can just go to the registry, have it properly documented, call your father, your mother, 1 or 2 witnesses, and the deal is done. You don't need to feed the entire nation because you want to get married. That's one of the issues that people look out for.
But that's the ideal painted out there.
Exactly, but it doesn't. The truth of the matter is, we love weddings, but if we are not there, they will still join the husband and the wife. What they need is 1 or 2 witnesses. We are all there to just support them, and it's legal already. So we fall into the societal demands to say this is a certain thing. What you should look out for is, I want to get married. Do we have food supply for the next 3 to 6 months of our marriage? Do we have a stable source of income, my wife and I? Do we have basic things? If we get pregnant on the first week of our marriage, are we going to have something to take care of our baby, just if it happens? So those are, you should think about the first 1 to 2 years of your marriage, not the people that will come to feast on your marriage and say, there's no meat on my food. That's just, it's important, but it's irrelevant.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you got my analogy.
I totally agree with you. We're going to be winding down now, right? But I'm going to, it won't be fair that we don't touch some cultural issues. Sometimes, again, I would allude to that because we grew up in traditional homes, setting expectations from you as a guy. You grew up with those expectations, and then when you're married, you want to enforce them. And sometimes our women stand up because some of these things are not right. I'm not going to mention some of these things, right? They are not right, and they challenge these anomalies, as I would refer to them today. And as a result of that, people would come up, it would lead to issues. Issues would come up, and people will begin to run their tongues and castigate and like, no, this is an abomination, you can't do this to your man. Even if he eats you, you must take it, because you can't turn a woman to a punching bag, for crying out loud. You can't go drinking to stupor and you expect that the woman will not raise eyebrow or caution you. You can't do certain things. I'm just going to leave it at that, right? But I can go on and on and on. And when women challenge these traditional roles, it becomes an issue. How do you think that through communication, this can be better managed without having to say, oh no, he wants to rule our family, we are not known for that, that is not how we behave, blah blah blah? I don't know, maybe you can speak to that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We met these things on earth.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned in my early days of journalism school was culture can also evolve. People formed these cultures and they can evolve over time based on the existing or prevalent situation. For people who are traditional in a sense, tradition is good. But when a tradition negates or comes in opposite direction or clashes, I think that's the word, clashes with preservation of human life, preservation of peace, then we should draw the line. There's no tradition that should stand if it believes in beating spouses. Domestic abuse finds no place in tradition. The head of the house, the person that guides the house, if you truly guide the house, if you truly lead the house or the home, you shouldn't turn women into a punching bag. And the same goes for the women, because I've heard situations where women beat the husband. It shouldn't be. It's an anomaly. When we were growing up, a teacher would beat a student. And that's why some people are even advocating for total removal of beating, so that no one will grow up with that idea that you can beat someone else. But that's a story for another day. But in terms of marriage, I always imagine that you say you love this person, and you've also had relationships, sexually with this person, but you are still comfortable enough to lay your hands on this person. You're not seeing the person's body as yours. That's where the issue starts from. But in terms of any woman in a situation going through domestic abuse, constant beating, the Lagos State has an agency for that. Lagos State Domestic Violence Agency. You should report to the appropriate authorities, because right now it's more than just the family issue. It's a state issue or even a national issue. People should seek help. But if it's other forms of abuses, we've had emotional abuse, verbal abuse, some people saying that the wife cannot do a thing or the husband cannot do a thing, and they are constantly demeaning the person by words of mouth. In that sense, seek for help as well, but it could be a counselor or talk it out. Start with communication at the beginning. But when it comes to preservation of life and the life is on the line, that's when I say help me, oh. You have to seek help, because the sanctity of marriage, I believe in marriage, I believe in healthy homes, but I also believe that human lives are very, very important, and people shouldn't die in silence. Seek help for domestic violence. But if it's other things, then you need to start communicating early. You see that your husband is complaining about something, sit down, find a way. It could be about your work. Your husband might not want you. The husband might not be saying that, oh, I want you to drop your job. I don't want you to work again. The husband might just be trying to bring out issues to say, oh, you don't have time for the children, you don't have time for the family.
Okay.
Instead of saying, oh, my husband doesn't want my progress, find a day to talk about it. Find a day to talk about it. Don't just say, oh, my husband doesn't want my progress. Same thing for the wife. If you have seen situations where you believe your husband doesn't have the time for the family, find a day to talk about it. Don't just go all around to say, oh, and the husband should say, oh, doesn't she know that I have to make money? It has to come from both parties. And I believe with effective communication, we can have healthy homes, healthy marriages, and healthy relationships.
Thank you. Yeah, so before we wind up, sorry, before we wrap up, what strategies would you say that families should adopt in improving their communication lifestyle?
Deliberately setting out times to unwind.
And not constant fiddling of phone.
Okay. Yes. You know, we are on social media. I was having a chat with my husband even this week about the usage of phones and when we are on the phone and when we want to talk. What we'll do is we'll make sure as much as possible. If he wants to talk to me, we'll say, can I have your attention? I know I have to drop my phone at that time because social media is addictive.
Yeah.
You might want to have a meaningful conversation, but because you're replying a message, you're doing something, you are totally distracted.
Yes.
So making deliberate time, making sure that when you have conversations with your spouse, you're not distracted by social media. Then planning deliberate vacations. And the vacation I'm talking about is not until you go outside the country. It might just be a 1 day, 2 day breather where you are not working. The vacation might be in your house. It might be a movie night in your house. You know that day you're not doing any major thing. And deliberately even, maybe this might not work for everybody, deliberately switching off your phone to make time for yourself. Maybe there are things that are pending to discuss. It's important to do so. And one of the things that you should also do is talk about, apart from yourselves, talk about your children. If you have children, talk about their progress. Many spouses don't know what their children know. They don't know their academic level because they're not communicating. And this has led to some people, it's when they get to the university, they say, I didn't know my child was very artistic. So because they didn't grow to learn all of this. So I think communication in marriage is very important. We should set things deliberately to ensure that we have effective communication.
All right, thank you very much. We should set things to ensure that children have effective communication. It's been an amazing conversation. I wish that we had all of the time to continue to share these questions with our guests in the house. But again, time is not on our side, and at this point, we have to call it a day. I want to say a big thank you very much, Ma, for again honoring us with your presence, for coming on this platform. And
Thank
I do
you.
know that our audience out there would have learned a thing or two from this, and it could make their marriages better off for it. All right. On this note, we want to say a big thank you to everyone who has watched to this point. I hope we made an impact in your life today. From all of us in the studio, we want to say a big thank you. Thank you very much. Don't just, we can continue the conversation online, please. Let us know. Is there anything that you think you can add to this conversation? Drop it on our platform. Share to friends and family members. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is how we grow. And all other platforms that we currently on. From all of us, we want to say a big thank you. Do have a great day. Bye.